This is a post that I wrote on the 17th of November 2016. And first of all, I'll read it out, and then at the end, I'll do some analysis on what I predicted. I endorsed Mr. Trump back in September. I like to think that got him over the line during the election. Of course it didn't, but I do like to think it. Now that Mr. Trump is President-elect Trump, I have been reading many articles on various sites about what a Trump presidency will be like. Some are quite good, and others have left me scratching my head. So I'd like to try and show what we can reasonably expect. We should expect very little in regards to social conservatism. He simply isn't a social conservative. So homosexual marriage, abortion, and the rest of the social ills will not change. On this front, we must continue fighting. President-elect Trump has said he wants to increase spending on infrastructure and defence. That will push America further into debt. I'm not saying that infrastructure and defence shouldn't have money spent on them, but they do mean that America goes further down the debt hole. Maybe he has a secret plan for fixing the debt. I sure hope so. No matter who became president at this election, no social conservatism and increased debt was always going to happen. So in that sense, this is neutral more than bad. There are 4 things we should expect from President Trump. Lack of political correctness. Political correctness is something President Trump won't have much time for. He likes to call things by their proper name, and he will. You should expect lots of scandals about how racist and sexist he is. I think most of us will quite enjoy this aspect of his presidency. We might even be able to use it to push it out into the open more, get people used to plain speaking instead of walking on eggshells. Opposing globalization. Free trade was given a fair trial and it has failed to deliver what it promised. If 25 years isn't enough to make it work, then it can fairly be said to be a failure. It has failed the working class of the Western world quite clearly. President Trump wants that to change. It will be quite interesting to see his idea being put into practice. But anything that puts a damper on free trade is good. It helps restore national borders as well as national economies. A government should be loyal to its own people first, and President Trump is doing that. Immigration. I don't know what he will do regarding legal immigration, but he has already said he plans to enforce US immigration law. Right there is a massive victory for everyone opposed to mass immigration and the destruction of white countries. I expect big things here, and if he fails to deliver, that will be the biggest failure of his term. Now, I know that there are those who are saying that the war will now be a fence, but I do not see any reason to worry about what form the border barrier takes. What matters is that it is effective. Opposing ISIS. There is one area where I believe most pundits are wrong. President Trump will not be a peacenik. In fact, I believe he wants to fight a war, and that war will be against ISIS. He has said so numerous times that he plans to defeat ISIS. If he is serious, he needs US combat troops on the ground in Iraq and Syria. Air power has never won a war by itself, and to rely on the Iraqi and Syrian armies with Western special forces is no better. It might take as much as 100,000 troops on the ground to destroy ISIS, and I think he will do that. The exact number of ground troops is up for debate, but if he wants to destroy ISIS, he must commit US ground forces to combat for as long as it takes in both Iraq and Syria. And I think that the Middle East is going to get a lot more wars as well. As I've said before, President Trump might fail. He certainly will disappoint. And while he will not give us everything we want, or that he might want, we should be enjoying the victories that we can achieve. After all, we have all endured enough defeats. It might be good to have a few victories. Well, in the last 4 years, we have had some victories. And on the political correctness front, I was right. President Trump has been quite good, and, well, most of us have quite enjoyed that aspect of his presidency. Unfortunately, it hasn't pushed things out into the open. In fact, things have become more repressive, and as a reaction against President Trump. But at the same time, if you don't fight, you can't win. Opposing globalization, I think President Trump has been quite good. I would have liked better, but this is as good as I was ever going to get. So I'm very happy with this aspect. Immigration. All right, well, this has been a really major disappointment, and I think it has been the biggest failure of his presidency so far. Sure, he's done some things. About 20% of the border wall has been built. There's so much more that needs to be done, and the way they dilly-dally around legal immigration is a real issue. It's definitely been the biggest failure of his presidency. Opposing ISIS. Well, I was right and wrong. I was right that he wanted to fight ISIS and defeat ISIS, and that's largely been achieved. Well done. And it didn't take 100,000 troops as I thought it would. I thought it would take a major commitment, but, I was wrong. Happy to be wrong. Well, I guess we'll see how the next term goes, if there is one, which I hope there is.